the GM makes. Next thing you know, someone in the outfield gets hurt and they want me to play in the outfield. I think I know the kind of player that I am, that's
his name, which, and it's not even the proper title either, but that's where we're going to begin tonight on the Baseball Hour. Matt McCarthy is here. Tyler Milliken is not this week, so the round table, again, more like a ping pong table. 617-779-0985. All Devers, all the time. That's what you're getting on the show tonight. So you tell me, who do you want to blame? Who do you hold most accountable? And how do the Red Sox fix this thing? All of that is on the table, but we're going to start specifically with the Devers press conference. We're hoping to have, and I say the press conference from a couple of days ago. We're hoping to also have comments from Alex Cora tonight in Kansas City before the game. He was due to meet with the media almost an hour ago now. I haven't seen anything online. It's possible they pushed that back. That often happens on the road. The manager's going to meet at one time. No, he needs another half hour. He's got to meet with someone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if and when Cora speaks, we'll let you know what he said. We will certainly try to even have the audio for you. In the interim, the Rafael Devers situation, Matt McCarthy, give me your take. Go.
So I don't use this term lightly, Maz, because I think sometimes we throw this around in sports a little bit too often. Rafael Devers is a loser. He's a loser. Not because of the ball player that he is. It's because of the teammate that he is right now and the employee that he is right now. Let me make this clear. The Red Sox are not going to win up to their capabilities if their best player is holding the team back in the way that Rafael Devers is holding them back with his attitude and his unwillingness to be a team player. He is hurting this team on the field, and he is hurting this team in the clubhouse. This situation is cut and dry. Let's keep it very simple. The Red Sox need Devers to try to play first base, Casas is hurt. He's not coming back. They don't have anybody in the system who actually plays first base. They need this from him. And he won't do it for them because his pride is still hurt over the Bregman thing. Like, they need him, and he's making it clear to them, I don't need you. I think it's an insult to the organization. I think it's an insult to his teammates. I think it's an insult to the uniform. And I think it's an insult to the fans who pay his salary. He is getting paid $330 million. And he refuses to do his job? Come on. Get out of here with that. Like, it's the most simple way to look at it. But I think the most simple way to look at it is true. Get over it, you baby. Go out, play the field, help the team. This isn't costing you anything. It's not costing you a cent to go play first base. You've already been paid. But he can't do it because he's a baby and he's a child. Enough is enough. Like, let's call Rafael Devers what he is. He is not a team player. This is his fault. No doubt about it. Okay, so Matt, I think a lot of people feel like you do. And frankly, I think this part of the story is indisputable. You know, the thing that cracks me up about a story like this, and as it pertains to Devers, and again, 617-779-0985. Most fans are going to look at a player and say exactly what you said, and I get it. Devers is wrong. Just play the position, fine. In the same breath, I will tell you that it always cracks me up when fans say, oh, I would do it. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. Most of you wouldn't. You'd be pissed. You'd want to get something out of it. You'd negotiate with it. That's what you do. You say you would do it, but most of you really aren't team players. So spare me that one. The other thing is, and I'm going to repeat myself from the top of the 2 o'clock hour, but forgive me, and I'm not sure I can muster the same kind of agitation I had at that point in time, but I'll do my best. I grew up here watching the Red Sox. I grew up here covering the Red Sox. I went to school. I followed the Red Sox my whole life. And you know what the Red Sox identity was before the John Henry Group bought the team and before they won in 2004? You know what it was? Dysfunction.
Dysfunction is right. Losers. Teams with talent that couldn't maximize its talent or couldn't maximize their talent because they could never get out of their own way, and they were more interested in blaming someone else than all aligning on the same cause. And that's what this thing has felt like to me. So again, you want to blame Devers more, or you want to blame Cora more, or you want to blame Breslow more? Have at it. I think they're all guilty. Every single one of them. Yeah, we're going to do the blame pie mask. Okay, fine. Devers deserves more of it. At the end of the day, no question. Rafael Devers should volunteer to play first base because it's the right thing to do. He's the highest paid player on the team. There's a leadership aspect to that. He needs to set some sort of standard. True, yes. 100%. At the same time, Alex Cora wouldn't speak to Cora, wouldn't ask Devers, rather, to play first base, wouldn't do it. Why not? It's the manager's freaking job. That's his job. Sean McAdam wrote that typically this sort of thing is done by the manager, not the GM. I agree. I would say that when I was covering the team, same sort of thing. Has the world changed? I don't know. Maybe it's possible. In the same breath, I would tell you, though, I would hope the manager would address it. You know how this went? And this is really my issue, is the dysfunction that now exists again in the Red Sox organization. And we've been talking about this a lot for the last 3 or 4 years. I said this to Jared Carabas last night. Because Jared said to me, I think some variation of that is pretty much how it went down. Alex Cora went to Breslow and said, what do you want to do now that Casas is hurt? Well, let's see if we can get Devers to do it. Okay. Cora said, but you know what? I'm not asking him. You are. What? I'm not asking him. You are. We wanted to move him to DH in spring training, so I did that. I knew he was going to be pissed. I have a relationship with the kid. So you want to do that? Fine. But you're asking him. I'm not. And when we have the conversation, I'll be there. I'll sit in the room, but you're going to do all the talking. Because Cora didn't want to be accountable to his player. That's really what the issue is in terms of why Cora did not address it with Devers. Cora did not want to be accountable to the player because he has a relationship with him. So Breslow did it. To which I would say, if Devers is now dumping on Breslow, which he is, he called him the GM. He was he used to be a player. Those were all digs at Breslow. And again, if you didn't listen to the show with Jared Carabas last night, you can hear all of his comments on the podcast as well. We'll try to play a couple of them for you here during the show tonight, but you can hear the whole segment. So you know what Breslow's problem is? The Red Sox didn't want him to be president of baseball operations or chief baseball officer when they hired him. They didn't think he was ready for the job. And you know why they thought that? Because he wasn't. I don't know how he could be totally ready now, although he's getting on-the-job experience. He wasn't ready to negotiate contracts. They were going to bring him in to run the pitching development program. That's why they were going to bring him in. So now here he is a year later. Do you think Rafael Devers looks at Craig Breslow and sees a former player, someone who maybe moved from third to first, or some dorky guy who's now the GM and actually pitched out of the bullpen for a period of time?
The latter. And he also sees him as the guy who hurt his pride in spring training.
When Cora was asked about Breslow, when they hired Breslow, he said he didn't remember him very much. So how do you think Devers looks at him? So look, Breslow, the Sox have this up during the winter. Kenny Rosenthal of The Athletic wrote a story last September that said, how about if the Red Sox sign Bregman, try to trade Casas for pitching to Seattle, and move Devers to first? And you know what? The Red Sox tried to do all three of those things. Boy, that's convenient. What a bullseye by Kenny Rosenthal, whom I love. But the point is, Kenny didn't make that up. Someone sort of clued him into it. What would you do here? Well, we could sign Bregman. Oh, what about the pitching? Well, we moved Casas, probably put Devers at first. No kidding. Did the Red Sox prepare Devers for that?
No.
Because when it happened in spring training, it felt like Devers was completely blindsided. So now, again, at the end of the day, whether he's blindsided or not, what Devers is really pissed at is that he doesn't want to be the DH, or more importantly, he didn't want to be moved off a third. That's what he's pissed at because he's embarrassed by it. But if you would let him be pissed over the winter, had Cora talk him off the ledge, calm him down, get him ready for camp, and dismiss any trade requests he might have made over the winter, you could have shown up at spring training, been ready to go, had it all blown out and had Cora start to take ground balls at first base. You could have done it then and said to Cora, you're going to DH, but we're also going to use you as a backup corner infielder because if something happens to Casas, who gets hurt every year, then we might need you at first. If Casas looks over his shoulder, good. He's been in the big leagues for 3 years. Tristan, we like you. This is no reflection on your ability, but we had a major problem when you got hurt last year. We need a backup first baseman. Bregman's the right-handed bat we needed, so this is the way we're going to go. It's really not about you. Lie to him if you have to. Just so he feels better about it. And then let Devers take some grounders, and then when this happened, you'd have been ready for it. Or I'll tell you what, and this is for all the people who thought I was an asshat by suggesting Roman Anthony should start working out at first base a month ago.
Shame, 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 shame.
So fine, the Red Sox don't want to put Anthony at first base. Yes, he has more value to them potentially in center field than he does at first. But if he had worked out at first base and they asked him to do it just as a rookie for half a season or a little more, might he be ready now? Could you have his bat in the lineup instead of Abraham Toro? Because that's what it was about. 617-779-0985. I see you all lined up there. Please don't go anywhere. I want to hear from you. So does Matt. We'll do that when we come back.
The Baseball Hour with Tony Mast.
So I think that's probably where Breslow would have been like, hey, AC, can you do it? Like, he's your boy. Like, you guys have a good relationship. And it sounds like to me what you're kind of theorizing is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of how it played out, where Alex was like, you're the one that wants him to play first base. You asked me to tell him to put the glove away, and you had me go out there and tell the world he's DHing, and he's just a DH, and he's not going to get any reps at third base. He's not going to play the field. So if this is your idea, you go talk to him.
It's Jared Carabas last night. It's pretty simple to me, and this is the Alex Cora part of the story. Cora didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. He's got a relationship with the player, and he didn't want to do it. So he had Breslow do it.
Does that crawl up your ass?
Yes, because I think ultimately it's Cora's job. Now, in the same breath, part of me likes it. Because you know what? Breslow, you don't get to skate either. So I think the organization looks like a clown show. This is what the Red Sox were in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's exactly what they were. Dysfunctional, 25 players, 25 cabs. Wade Boggs was selfish. Roger Clemens wouldn't carry his luggage. Like all this crap, and nobody could just focus on the simple task of winning games. What is best for us to win games? And they can't get out of their own way. And now they're back there. They're 20-19. And I want to read you quickly. We're going to get to calls. And Matt, just forgive me for a second here.
Yeah, do.
Sean McAdam wrote this in a story today where he distributes the blame to all parties involved, which I personally thought was great because I think they all have a measure in it. I'm not telling you it's the same piece. I'm just telling you they all have something. Devers could put this whole thing to bed by saying, hey, no problem, I'm a pro. I'll go over there. Just give me a week or so to work on it. Before games, off days, or what have you, so I get some reps. You can teach me some of the basics on cutoffs and holding runners, and then we'll go from there. I get, how do I turn the 3-6-3, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, all that. McAdam wrote this sentence. There is also the clubhouse over which Cora presides. In recent days, there were growing whispers that some of the veterans on the team were puzzled by the team's approach with Devers. Puzzled by the team's approach. Why are they handling it the way they're handling it? They were questioning the leadership. They were questioning Cora. They were questioning Breslow. Okay? And some guys are questioning Devers too. Absolutely. The point is, now you've got a split clubhouse. So now you've got some guys who are defending the third baseman, some guys who are defending management. Tell me how that's going to go over.
Not great.
Steve is in Brockton. Steve, go ahead. You lead us off.
Yes. How you guys doing? I have a solution for first base. Move Jaron Duran to first and have Roman Anthony play left field. You get Roman Anthony's bat in the lineup.
I got you. No, I understand. I'm going to ask everyone to be quick because we have a lot of people on the line. How do you feel about that?
Duran hasn't fielded a normal ground ball since college. No. Out. Give me an infielder who's been there before.
Matt in Framingham. Matt, what do you got?
So, Tony, I'll answer your question that you asked off the top. Who do you blame the most, and then how do you fix it? Up until Wednesday, I would have said Cora, but today it's Devers because of his foot and mouth comment. And how do you fix it? Well, the only option I feel is eventually you're going to have to trade him before the wheels come off because that's what it feels like.
Okay, they're not going to trade Devers. They can't trade Devers. His value is low. They won't get enough for him. So, again, I blame Devers first, too, because he has the most power in quieting the whole thing. But it's not like they handled it well either. I don't give them a break on that. Jesse in Easton, another guy that wants to trade Devers. Go ahead.
Hey, going, yeah. I was going to say what he said. I think Devers he's more of a headache. He's not worth the headache anymore. It's not like he has Judge type numbers. I think they have two options: either blow out Alex Cora and see if there's somebody else who can reach the team because his message has gone stale, or trade Devers, who's become such a pain in the ass. And it would be nice to get a pitcher back.
Okay, so let's stop there. Go ahead, Matt.
What are you getting back for a player who won't play the field, definitely can't play third base at a high level, is aging and is owed $330 million? You're not getting back what he's worth, not even close. Don't bring it up. Don't talk about it. It's not going to happen. You can vent your frustration at Rafael Devers in plenty of other ways. It's not happening via a trade, folks. He's here. You're stuck with him. Accept it.
The other thing is, I don't want to trade Devers. So, okay, he's not Aaron Judge. Who is? There's about 2 guys in the big leagues you could say are Aaron Judge. One of them is Aaron Judge. The other is Shohei Ohtani. That's about it. So you're not getting that, okay? He's a valuable player. He hits. The Red Sox had an a-hole playing left field for a long time, and they won 2 World Series with him, and that was Manny. So you can put up with it. And you know what? I'm not firing Cora either. Cora's a good game manager. Not that the manager has to do that much anymore. But him passing the buck on this is weak. That's his job. And I said this earlier, and I'm going to stand by it. I think he's akin to the Bobby Valentine of this generation. Is he as hated by his players as Valentine was? No, of course not. But that doesn't mean they all love him. He's manipulative. He's already stabbed one GM in the back, and that was Bloom. And I think that when it comes right down to it, the whole contract negotiation, Cora was basically telling anyone who would listen that he was out of Dodge as soon as the deal was up. Then he re-signed. You know what Sam Kennedy said when they signed Cora? We called Alex's bluff. Nobody seems to remember that comment. I do. It was basically Sam Kennedy saying we heard him grumbling. We let him grumble. We figured he'd get over it. And he did. I'm not firing the manager. I'm not trading the player. What I want them to do is all to stop focusing on their vendettas or their little spitting matches with the other person in the organization, whether it's Cora and Breslow and Cora, Devers and Breslow, whatever it is, figure it out. Do you think that Rafael Devers said no to playing first base because he really doesn't want to play it, or he just didn't want to give the satisfaction to Breslow?
It's the satisfaction because his pride was hurt. To which I would say to him, Maz, Rafi, that's what the money's for. That's why they paid you $330 million. That's where the money stuff does come into the conversation, Maz. This isn't just some run-of-the-mill fan saying, hey, I'd play baseball for nothing. I'd do that. Yeah, of course, we all would. These guys are at a different level. But money equals respect in sports. The Red Sox have respected Rafael Devers more than anybody in the history of the franchise. He is the highest paid player in the history of the franchise. Money equals respect. You're upset with them signing Bregman? Rafi, that's what the money's for. You said, hey, what are they going to ask me to do next? They want me to play the outfield? And obviously they're not going to say that, but I would say, Rafi, if they say go play the outfield, that's what the money's for. That's the way the world works. Don't tell me they've disrespected you. They're trying to do what's best for the team. Yes, they mismanaged it. Breslow, of course, mismanaged this. He should have approached Devers earlier in the offseason. The Red Sox no doubt have some blame in this. I'll just say this, though, Maz. Did they do that because they wanted to hurt Rafael Devers or they wanted to make their team better? They wanted to make their team better.
Definitely.
And by the way, they made their team better. They got it right. I'll say Breslow, who has, of course, mismanaged his part in this, he's the only person right now who I can say is actually doing something for the betterment of the team. Rafael Devers isn't. Alex Cora isn't, because he's not approaching Devers. He probably has a better chance to reach him than anybody, but he's passing the buck on that. He's saying, hey, this is your idea, not mine. Hey, you want to help the team out? You want to have an uncomfortable conversation and try to help the team to try to win games? Or are you going to try and save yourself in this whole thing? The only person here who's trying to help the team is Breslow.
So look, Mookie Betts moved to second base and shortstop. Bryce Harper moved to first base. Aaron Judge moved to center field to accommodate Juan Soto. There are a million guys that have changed positions. Alex Rodriguez went to third base to play for the Yankees because Derek Jeter wasn't going to move. And Derek Jeter wouldn't move. Cal Ripken was another one who wouldn't move. And he took the same criticism Devers is taking now. Ultimately, he did move. He just wouldn't move from Manny Alexander. He ended up moving from Mike Bordick. Okay, but you get the idea. Everybody moves. It's not that big a deal. It really isn't. Plenty of guys move. I say everybody, but many guys.
Yaz moved.
Okay, many guys move. Kevin Majori. Oh, no, Matt McCarthy will get your headlines here. God, I make that mistake all the time. I'm like a trained seal. for crying out loud. Matt McCarthy will get you caught up on headlines. We're going to play for you a little more sound from throughout baseball and how this was received. Joel Sherman of the New York Post and also Ron Darling, who obviously does games in New York, former pitcher for the Mets and Oakland A's, also working for the MLB Network. We'll play you that when we come back on the Baseball Hour.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy
We're
Drinks.
just tossing fish in the air to Maz, and he's just picking it out of the air. Red Sox tonight in Kansas City, first to 3, Hunter Dobbins on the mound. Royals have won 6 in a row. First pitch, 7:40 tonight. an honest exchange, unquote. Maz, John Henry got on a plane and went to Kansas City to talk to Rafael Devers.
Ha! How about that?
John Henry.
How do you like that?
Off of his yacht and to Kansas City. John Henry.
So I'll tell you what, we've been doing this show for about 15 years now. I don't know the exact when we began this program. I think we did in 2010, if I'm right. I can't remember exactly. But in any case, the point is, we don't often get to use the breaking news sounder. Ownership got on a plane. And admittedly, it's a private jet. But Kansas City, believe me, is a pain in the ass to get to.
Awful.
John Henry, Sam Kennedy, and Craig Breslow hopped on the plane to go talk to Devers. Apparently, Cora is speaking now in Kansas City with the media. Not a lot of details on the meeting between Henry and Devers. But I'll tell you what I equate this to. Do you remember when David Ortiz he got totally fleeced on his contract? He got $16 million a year at a time. He really ended up being worth double that at that period in time. The Red Sox felt so guilty, they gave him a pickup truck. Okay, and they gave him a plaque that said the greatest clutch hitter that ever lived, or something like that. And this to me is, again, they're trying to smooth it over, make sure Devers feels good, and make sure he feels appreciated. That's what this was about, if you had to ask me. Either that or they're getting ready to deal him and, the owner came down to face it, but I doubt the owner would do that.
Yeah, they did this to smooth it over. I'm assuming they also did this to let him know how they felt about those conversations and those comments yesterday. If I'm John Henry, and listen, Maz, I'm not in the business of defending John Henry. I think we all know that. I would be pissed. I've just written the biggest check in the history of the franchise to you, and you're pulling this crap. He must be pissed because he got on a plane and went to Kansas City. This is a good move by Red Sox ownership, a group that has not done a lot of good in recent years.
So, Matt, I'm going to stop you and say this. I don't think he aired Devers out. I don't.
I don't know if he aired him out, but he must have felt that way.
Okay, I'm sure he did feel that way, but I'm telling you, he went down there to try to calm him down because he knows Devers is pissed, and they're trying to make sure he feels better. My guess is they look at him and say he feels slighted. We have to do something out of the ordinary to make sure that he feels appreciated. Again, look at the history with what they did with Ortiz. In 2011, when the players were bitching all the time, you know what they did? They invited them on the yacht and got them headphones, and now same deal. So, and we can claim this is, greasing the squeaky wheel, whatever. It's all of those things. To me, it's news that they went down there.
And it's good news. This is a good move by Red Sox ownership.
Well, if it gets them past it. It
was worth the shot.
So I do want to play, though, before we get back to your calls. Tell you what, let me take a couple of calls, and then we'll get to the audio from the MLB Network. Paul's in Rhode Island. Paul, go ahead.
Thank you for taking my call, Tony. Not a big baseball guy. McCarthy, I love you. Listen, I don't care if this guy makes $30 million. The union will not protect him. You cannot waive a position on that field. There's no way you can do that.
So, Paul, when you say the union won't protect him, what do you mean?
He won't get his $30 million every time. So,
Paul, he's going to get his money. His money's fully guaranteed. And you know what? The union, if it comes to it, the union will issue a statement on his behalf, but they know they don't have a contractual leg to stand on. Still, the Red Sox aren't going to dump Devers. They're not going to do that. The union will support him with words. But again, if he doesn't want to play first base, I suppose they could, make him go out there or forfeit a game. It's not going to come to that. We all know that. Joe's in a truck. Joe, what do you got?
Hey, Tony. How you doing today?
Good.
Hold on.
Joe, I'm going to put you on hold. When you're ready to go, let me know. Steve's in Miami. Steve, go ahead.
How you guys doing?
Good. Just be quick, Steve.
Okay. First of all, I don't know if I even want Devers at first. I mean, he was not the greatest third baseman. I don't know how he would react to playing first base, digging out errant throws and all that. And second of all, earlier in the baseball season, we heard how Vaughn Grissom wasn't doing too badly in the minors and was being put at first base. Could you explain, is that still an option?
Well, I suppose it is an option. He's not my first choice. I don't know how you feel about Vaughn Grissom.
Yeah, No thanks. I mean, he can play first base in Worcester. He can be a backup option. The point being is you're moving Devers to first, or you want to move him to first, to get Roman Anthony in the lineup. This is not about getting Vaughn Grissom in the lineup. If it comes to that, bad things have happened. Sure, have him play first base in Worcester. This is not what this is about. Don't talk to me about Vaughn Grissom. Don't talk to me about Romy Gonzalez. This is all about creating a spot for Roman Anthony. Period. End of story.
Yeah, this is, again, the most flexibility is to put Devers at first and put whoever you want in the DH spot. That gives you the most flexibility. Joe, Go ahead.
Hey, guys, how you doing? Sorry about that. Not good if the owner's coming down to do Breslow and Cora's job all in one sitting. Another thing is at the beginning of this year, they came into it with so much mismanagement, pissing off the best player on your team to begin with. Why wouldn't you just take Cassis, move him to DH, get him out of the field since he's injury-prone anyway, move Devers over, and put Bregman at third? I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, so, Joe, again, there's a million scenarios you could come up with. And I understand. Look, they wanted to give Casas a shot. They wanted him to be their first baseman. He's a 25-year-old kid. They wanted him to be part of the future. I don't begrudge him that. I just don't understand why they couldn't have also given Devers, give Devers time on the backfields when nobody's watching. The writers go on the road. The media goes on the road for some of the spring training game. He's playing in a minor league game on a backfield half the time anyway, as it turned out. Or let him just do drills. Do it that way. Nobody has to see it. There's a million ways you could do it and hide it. And again, the thing you should worry about is the impact it's having on the team at the end of the day. And I just don't think the Red Sox had played to their ability, and this thing makes them look bad. So Joel Sherman was on the MLB Network. He had an opinion on the entire Rafael Devers saga. For those of you who don't know Joel has covered baseball for a long, long time in New York, covered the Yankees for the New York Post. He's an excellent baseball reporter and covers the game nationally as well. Here's Joel.
I think the biggest blame here is with the adults in the room. The Red Sox were clearly going to acquire a third baseman this offseason. If they didn't sign Bregman, They were trading for Arenado. This should have been worked out in every way with him before he ever steps foot in Fort Myers in spring training. Mm-hmm. Now you're asking him, he's never played the position. Go play the position. I watched Alex Rodriguez work his butt off in 2004, when he came to the Yankees. He was probably the superior shortstop to Jeter, but it was Jeter's team, and he went to third base because he didn't want to be embarrassed on the field. Like, Devers is a prideful guy. You said he's paid to help the team. He's really paid to hit. Now you're going to put him in a position for this. Can I create a real-world issue? Say they decided, instead of this, Trevor Story isn't as good a shortstop as he used to be. We have a pretty good prospect at AAA who's tearing it up a little bit in Marcelo Meyer, who's ready to play shortstop. Trevor Story's never played first base, but I bet you he'd play it better than Devers would. Do that. If Trevor Story said, no way, I got paid, you showed the chart, 6 years at 140 to be your shortstop. Now, he moved to second base one time, but that was because of the Tommy John. In other words, I think where the adults in the room have not handled this well. Right. And that is Breslow and Cora. This should have been worked out in the off season.
And look, when I play you these cuts, don't assume that I'm necessarily exempting Devers of blame. I'm not. I'm just telling you it goes beyond Devers. Okay? Because they managed it poorly. In terms of the impact on the clubhouse, this was Ron Darling, also on the MLB Network, and I thought, Joel put it again as the adults in the room. I like the way he put it, because at the end of the day, your manager and your GM are supposed to be the adults, and I don't think they were the adults. Again, the story was leaked to the media in September, so somebody didn't tell Devers. That's number one. Number two, the impact on the clubhouse. This is Ron Darling.
This was honesty. This is a player that has felt disrespected since spring training, or maybe even before that. So I know certainly where it is all coming from, but I agree with you. He loses this one 100% of the time. Because at some point, all of this chatter is food for fodder for the clubhouse. At some point, you lose the clubhouse as a player if you don't agree to make the team better. You didn't include Judge, who moved to center field, but Soto came to play right field. Yeah. So this happens all the time, and including the greatest player, right-handed bat that we have right now. So he loses it. I understand he has been wearing it in Boston. He's sick of wearing it. He wants Breslow to wear it for a while. That's where all this comes from.
So again, I think Ron Darling nails it there. that this isn't really about not playing first base. No, I've been taking the heat for this. Now you're going to take the heat, so I'm going to put it on Breslow. That's what this thing is. It's turned into a back-and-forth spitting match with nobody putting the needs of the team first. Breslow did to a degree. Yeah.
He has. He's actually trying to improve the team. I'll give him that. He went about it the wrong way. He mismanaged it, but he's actually trying.
And Devers is so freaking butthurt, like a 12-year-old, that he's now got to spit on the GM instead of actually playing the position. So he needs to get over it, no question. I think they should have known this, that it was going to happen this way, especially when it was leaked to the media in September. And that's my biggest gripe with the Red Sox. Whether it was Cora or Breslow, I really don't care which. They represent the organization, either one. If they were going to make a move that required Devers to move off the position, they shouldn't have leaked it to the media in September.
We all knew they were getting a third baseman. They were getting Bregman. They were getting Arenado. We didn't know how it was going to shake out, but it was out there all winter long.
Holy crap. Leo in Manchester, New Hampshire. Leo, what do you got?
Yeah, how's it going, Mads? I got two quick things. I promise I'll be quick. So I personally think guys like Romy Gonzalez and everything, they're just not in the future plans. I know he's playing well right now, and it's tough to keep him out of the lineup, and he's versatile. But I just think to get guys like Roman, Anthony up, and Marcelo Maya, you got to get guys like that out of the lineup. And another thing, Maz's Tears is my favorite thing. I think.
All right, I'm just going to let you go there. Maz's Tears is part of Felger and Maz. I appreciate the compliment, but we'll save that for a different show. Should Roman Anthony be a consideration for first base?
I think there are better options, but I'll put it to you this way. If I were Roman Anthony, I'd be asking to play first base.
Same.
I'd be getting, hey, put me in. Put me in, coach. Let me try some ground balls. Let me work on this because it's my fastest path to the big leagues.
So Chris Gasper said this during Felger and Maz, and I thought it was an interesting point, that there are lots of potential solutions here.
No doubt.
Moving Devers is not the only one. So, you just heard Joel Sherman talk about Trevor Story. We've had callers mention that.
Somebody's moving. They don't have a first baseman. Somebody has to move.
Roman Anthony, I theorized that. The Red Sox, by the way, shot that down starting in the minor leagues, weeks ago, that they're not going to move Anthony. They don't want to mess with him. They're not going to move Meyer. They don't want to mess with him. A friend of mine theorized over the weekend, what about Christian Campbell to first base? He's not a great second baseman anyway, doesn't have a position. That would allow them to put Marcelo Meyer in the lineup at second base. That one I don't think has been addressed directly. Campbell has a contract long term, so he doesn't have to worry about it affecting his value over the longer term. But I still think the best plan is Devers, because it allows you the flexibility of putting whoever you want at DH. If Anthony gets hurt, you can bring Meyer, let him DH. You want to put Yoshida at DH, you can do that.
Right. You can rotate guys through every day.
On any given day, you want Rob Refsnyder in the lineup and Duran as your DH, you can do that. Like the DH just gives you great flexibility. What about the idea of Campbell at first?
So I would not do it because I actually think he's improving at second base. And I guess not to say I don't want to mess with him, but I feel like he's gotten a lot better there over the course of the last month. He's eventually going to be, I think, a second baseman. So I'm not going to mess with that. I think you have better options. Devers is undeniably the best option. I think Story's probably your second best option, although I'm not as crazy about that. The point being, Maz, you could probably convince me of about 5 or 6 guys in the organization who I'd say, okay, put him there, because you don't have anybody else who can actually do it. You do not have a first baseman anywhere. Somebody's converting. Somebody's got to do it. I would prefer it if it were somebody who's actually played infield before, which is why Devers is my number one choice.
Okay, before we go, and again, we're going to stop a couple minutes early here just because we skipped a break. But the Red Sox are now 20-19, 39 games. Tonight's game 40, which basically is a quarter of the season. I would say they've been a disappointment to thus far. I think you would generally agree. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No doubt.
But at what point do we need to see some more consistency from them?
Memorial Day is always that moment. I know that baseball starts a little bit earlier, so I guess, your 40, 50 game mark happens a little bit earlier.
So 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks from now. Let's see where you're at. Is first base trending towards a resolution? Are you figuring out the bullpen? Are you better in one-run games? Like, Memorial Day is when I will offer my first real judgment on the Red Sox. I'll say this. They most certainly have underachieved. There are culture problems with this team. Devers right at the center of it. Cora is right at the center of it. It's not trending in a great direction. That being said, they're 2 games out of first place. The American League kind of sucks. Like, it's still there for the taking. This is far from over. This is far from done. But it has not gone the way you wanted it to for the first 40 games.
So with the way it's going, 85 games will win the American League East, which is kind of a pathetic statement, but that is neither here nor there. At the end of the day, I personally need to see a team that plays better baseball more consistently. And I don't know any other way to say it. But this thing of win a couple in a row, win 16-2, then lose 4 in a row by, while striking out 12 times a game, another one where you make errors. Lucas Giolito pitches one game, then gets his face ripped off in the next one. That's not going to get you anywhere. So a quarter, I need to see it immediately, like now. That loss the other night, the first game of the series to Texas, really pushed me sort of to the edge. I was expecting to see them pick up where they, after a bad weekend in Minnesota, pick up and play better baseball. Instead, complete no-show. Now, they won the final 2 games of the series, but it's got to be consistent. There's got to be consistently good play, and there hasn't been. Everybody have a good weekend. Joe Murray's got you for the rest of the night. McCarthy will have your headlines here in just a bit. We'll see you on Monday.
This is the Baseball Hour on the Sports Hub.